Welcome to Spectrum TV News at 9. I am Uyai Anyekan, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at the headlines. Federal government declares Wednesday, Thursday public holiday. House of Representatives Speaker Abbas advocates salary review for workers. Plus, Macron vows to double transport funding to shore up Machil's infrastructure. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin with a report that the federal government has declared Wednesday, June 28 and Thursday holidays. This was contained in a statement by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Interior, Oluwatoyin Akinlade. The statement read, the federal government has declared Wednesday, June 28th and Thursday, June 29th, 2023 public holidays in commemoration of this year's Eid al-Kabir celebration and heartily facilitate with the Muslim Ummah at home and in the diaspora. Meanwhile, the federal government has urged the Court of Appeal to reverse the April 18 judgment by the Federal High Court Abuja, ordering, among others, the reinstatement of Ifeanyi Ararume as the chairman of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL). The federal government also faulted the 5 billion damages awarded in Ararume's favor in the judgment given by Justice Inyang of the Federal High Court Abuja, arguing that the Ararume did not establish his entitlement to such a huge compensation. The government's position is contained in an 8-ground notice of appeal filed in the name of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria by a team of lawyers from the Federal Ministry of Justice led by Tijani Ghazali San. Ararume had sued the federal government on September 12 last year to challenge then-President Muhammadu Buhari's reversal of his appointment as the non-executive chairman of the NNPCL via a letter dated January 17, 2022. In the meantime, the federal government of the Federal Ministry of Works, and Housing today announced the suspension of further work on the ongoing reconstruction of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway to reduce gridlock during the Salah celebration. The announcement was made in a statement released by the Federal Controller of Works, Lagos Olukorode Kesha. According to the statement, construction works on the road will be put on hold between Tuesday, June 27, 2023 to Sunday, July 2nd, 2023 to allow those traveling during the Salah break to have access of easy travels. Now to the #1 citizen of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, who has renamed some federal airports after several prominent Nigerians. The renaming of the airports was announced in a memo released by the Federal Ministry of Aviation dated June 1, 2023 and signed by Joke Olatunji for the Director of Airport Operations today. The statement noted that the President renamed the airports as part of reforms of the aviation sector. The Maiduguri Airport was renamed after the immediate past President Muhammadu Buhari and the Port Harcourt Airport after the late nationalist Obafemi Awolowo, while the Nasarawa Airport immortalized the late founder of the Sokoto Caliphate, Usman Dan Fodio. Also, the Benin Airport was renamed after the late Oba of Benin, Oba Akenzwa II, Ebonyi Airport after the late Senate President Chuba Okadibo, and the Ibadan Airport after the late Premier of the Old Western Region, Ladoke Akintola. In the meantime, Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima has decorated the Acting Controller General of Customs Adewale Adeniyi at the Presidential Villa Abuja. Reports say Adeniyi's decoration comes a week after he was named the Acting Customs Chief by President Bola Tinubu on Monday, June 19. Moving now to the legislature, where Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas has advocated a review of salaries for workers in the country. Abbas said this in a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Musa Abdullahi Krishi, in Abuja today. He said it was imperative to take a look at what an average worker would need to be paid as salary in view of the current economic reality. He said there was need to come up with a living wage that would take care of the basics of a person such that he would not have to look outside his lawful income. In another development, Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission, NUC, Professor Abubakar Abdurrashid, has announced his resignation from the Commission. He personally announced it today at the Commission's headquarters while approving the issuance of a provisional license to Kogi State University, Kaba, Kogi State. He described the new university as his last baby in the Commission, having granted approvals to numerous universities in the country during his 7-year administration. Meanwhile, Abdurrashid did not state the reasons for his resignation. In a separate development, Nuhu Ribadu has formally taken over from appointed Ribadu as the National Security Advisor, NSA. He was earlier appointed as the Special Advisor on Security to Tinubu before the current position. Ribadu promised to live up to the expectations of Nigerians and thanked Tinubu for renewing the hope of more secure nation. Recall that Ribadu, a former police officer, was the pioneer chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, under former President Olusegun Obasanjo. In another development, the Acting Inspector General of Police Olukayode Egbetokun today met with commanders of the 79 police mobile force squadrons at the force headquarters, Louis Edet House, Abuja. According to reports, all 6 Deputy Inspectors General of Police representing the 6 geopolitical zones of the country in the police management team, including some Assistant Inspectors General of Police, were also present at the ongoing meeting. The IG arrived at the meeting at exactly 3:10 p.m., 2 hours behind schedule, as the meeting was earlier slated for 1 p.m. The detail of the meeting was yet to be known, but in a statement by the Force Public Relations Officer, Egbetokun noted that the meeting was in furtherance of his vision and drive to achieving his goal of securing the country, reassuring Nigerians of his determination of the Nigeria Police Force to secure lives and property. Elsewhere, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arrested a fake senator, Ifechukwu Makwe, for alleged £5.7 million internet fraud. Makwe was arrested in the Guzape area of Abuja following credible intelligence about his internet-related fraud activities. A statement today by the head media and publicity, Wilson Wajuren, said the impostor defrauded a Spaniard using different identities. Makwe allegedly claimed to be a U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI agent, and diplomatic solicitor, and succeeded in defrauding his victim using fake identities. The suspect allegedly started defrauding the victim in 2013 when he first met her on social media. Wajuren said the suspect will be charged to court as soon as the investigations are concluded. Away from that, the Kogi state government has warned the political class against making reckless statements that could undermine the security in the state. A statement issued by the State Commissioner for Information, Kingsley Fawon, in Lokoja reiterated the commitment of the Yahaya Bello-led administration's determination to make Kogi the most peaceful state in the Federation by continuing to empower security agencies to protect lives and property. Meanwhile, Governor Yahaya Bello has assured security agencies of his iron cast support in their efforts at combating crime in the state in line with the agenda of his administration. He added that politics is not a crime, but that crime too is not politics. Meanwhile, the Kogi state government today secured the license of the National Universities Commission to establish the third state-owned university to be known as Kogi State University, Kaba. The state governor Yahaya Bello, in a mission statement read at the NUC in Abuja, explained that the State House of Assembly last Thursday passed the bill to establish a third state-owned university to be sited in Kaba, Bunu local government area of the state. Reports say the state had earlier inaugurated an implementation committee chaired by Emeritus Professor of English Language Olu Obafemi. In the meantime, the Secretary of State Governor Ahmed Aliyu says his administration will not condone any act capable of degrading the Prophet. In a statement like Secretary, which is predominantly Muslim, the government was reacting to the mob killing of a butcher in the state over alleged blasphemy against Prophet Muhammad. The governor, in a statement signed by his spokesperson Abubakar Bawa, enjoined the residents to remain calm and law-abiding as the matter is receiving due attention from relevant authorities, warning them against taking laws into their own hands. A butcher identified as Usman Buddha was on Sunday killed by extremist Muslims over an alleged blasphemous comment. Reports say he was taken to Usmanu Danfodio Teaching Hospital, Sokoto, UDUTH, where he was later confirmed dead. Meanwhile, the state governor, in reaction, told the people of the state to understand that the Islamic religion does not permit them to take laws into their own hands. Elsewhere, the Osun state government has denied allegations that it intends to pardon or subvert the judgment of the death sentence on Dr. Rahman Adedoyin. Adedoyin and 6 others were arrested in November 2021 following the death of a student of the Obafemi Awolowo University OAU, Adegoke Timothy, at the Hilton Hotel, of which he is the founder. The 65-year-old businessman was later found guilty of murder and sentenced to death by hanging. Reacting to the allegation in a press statement today, the spokesperson for the governor, Olawale Rasheed, insisted that the governor, Adeleke's administration, had never and will never intervene in the judicial process, labeling those behind the fake news as public enemies. In a separate development, ahead of the 2023 Salah celebration, the Katsina state government has declared a one-week holiday for primary and secondary school students. The acting permanent secretary, Ministry of Education, Yao Jibrin, made the announcement in a statement. He further explained that the break was to enable the students to enjoy the 2023 Eid al-Kabir Muslim festival with their families from today, June 26 to July 3rd. Meanwhile, the boarding students are to resume on Sunday, 2nd of July, while day students would resume on Monday, July 3rd. On the home front, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Omoyeno has warned local government chairmanship and councillorship aspirants for the next local government elections to exercise restraint in their bid to avoid frivolous spending, emphasizing that the whistle for the race is yet to be blown. He has also stated that the state is busy stabilizing with the new administration in place to ensure its smooth takeoff. Governor Eno, who was addressing the local government chairman during an event in Uyo, noted that he was aware of activities of some chairmanship and councillorship aspirants and stakeholders in some local government areas who have started spending their hard-earned money on consultations for the positions, even when the state electoral empire is yet to clarify on such issues, and warned such power-seeking persons to put their intentions on hold until an order is given to such political venture. He also pointed out that issues bordering on established zoning arrangement in the local government areas have been brought before him for clarification, and insisted that the laid down zoning arrangement will be followed to the latter, as no form of pressure will cause him to go against the zoning arrangement. Meanwhile, Pastor Moino has called on all to close ranks and work for the success of his administration, assuring that he is poised to leave behind sustainable legacies for the next administration to consolidate on and deliver good governance for the general well-being of the state. Governor Eno was addressing the congregation during Episcopal Thanksgiving service commemorating the birthday and retirement of Bishop of Uyo Diocese of the Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion of the Cathedral, All Saints, Bishop Asukwa Antai and wife Dame Victoria Antai at Dominic Utuga Avenue, Uyo. Governor Eno, who likened his administration to the biblical John the Baptist, said as the forerunner of the next administration, it is incumbent on him to continue in the good foundation of his predecessors that will take the state to its greater height, and solicited prayers from the Christian fold for his dream to materialize. He expressed appreciation to the church, by extension the Christendom, for the support garnered before, during and after the election, acknowledging that the support sought to his emergence as governor of the state, and assured on his Thanksgiving service with government functionaries as a mark of honor to the retiring Bishop Asukwa Antai and wife Dame Victoria, who have given their all to the Lord's vineyard and retire hale, hearty and materialously. In the meantime, the State Commander, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA Akwa Ibom Command Obot Basi CN, has called on the society to drop stigmatization and discrimination against drug users by promoting attitudes that are respectful and non-judgmental. Basi made the call in an interview with our correspondent Esther Otoyo in commemoration of the World Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking Day. The state's commander, while stating the statistics of drug abuse victims in the state, said the agency has burned down a number of drug farms and is also working toward ensuring that victims of drug abuse are rehabilitated. The World Drug Abuse Day is marked annually on June 26 with the aim of strengthening action and cooperation in achieving a world free of drug abuse. The 2023 theme for the campaign is People First, Stop Stigma and Discrimination, Strengthen Prevention.
In the last 11 months, our statistics reveals that we have arrested 239 suspects, comprising of 197 males, 42 females, and the total drugs seized are 1,465.99 kg, convicted and jailed 59, cancelled 160, treated and rehabilitated 15 clients. Everybody should have respect and empathy for them so that they can speak out, so that they can come out, and so that they can get help. Where they are discriminated against, they would not like to speak out, they would not like to come out, and the menace will continue in it. So the best thing for us to do is to come face reality as it is and enable them to get help. Don't forget, cannabis is planted in Nigeria, and Akwa Ibom is not an exception. We've arrested a lot of some farms, so to speak, farms here that people grow. Some grow it in their homes, some grow them in farms. Cannabis is cultivated here, and it is the largest drug of abuse in NDLEA. There's something we do periodically called Operation Burn the Weeds. So we burn them, we get clearance from the courts, I get clearance from my boss, I get clearance from the state government, they allocate a place, get the judge to come as well, and then we openly burn it for everybody to see, and it's being tested before burning to assure the public that we are actually burning the weeds. And in the last 11 months, our statistics...
Still to come in the news. Pakistan Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news. We move now to Africa, where Kenya's President William Ruto has signed into law his government's first financial bill, which seeks to boost revenue through raising taxes on a number of items. President Ruto, who was elected last year, said that the government needs more money in order to be able to pay off the debts racked up under the presidency of his predecessor, Uhuru Kenyatta. Recall that one of the most controversial changes approved by Parliament last week was the doubling of value-added tax to be charged on fuel from 8 to 16%. Reports say employees will also hand over 1.5% of their gross pay for a housing levy that will go into a fund which will be paid to build homes for low-income people. Still in Africa, the West African country's Electoral Commission said Malians overwhelmingly approved changes in the constitution in the 18 June referendum with 97% of the vote. The country's military rulers and regional powers said the vote will lead to elections in February next year and then the return to civilian rule. The head of the Electoral Commission, Motsafa Sisi, announced that the turnout among the 8.4 million registered voters was just under 40%. Meanwhile, the country has seen 2 military coups since August 2020 when President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta was overthrown. Meanwhile, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has been speaking about the future of Wagner fighters who are operating in Africa, the focus of attention since the weekend's tumultuous event involving Wagner and its leader Yevgeny Prigozhin has understandably been on Russia and Ukraine. But the mercenary group has a presence in several African countries, including the Central African Republic and Mali, where they have been accused of committing atrocities and war crimes. Meanwhile, there have been questions over the future of those African deployments, which were seen by many as unofficially representing Russia. In the meantime, the head of Ethiopia's electoral board, Bertukan Mideska, has announced her resignation. In a Facebook post today, Bertukan cited health as her reason to leave her post. Parliament still has to accept the resignation. She is a former judge and political prisoner, and her appointment more than 4 years ago was seen as a part of reform measures introduced by a new government. In 2018, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed took office, pledging to end decades of authoritarian rule. When he recommended Bertukan to the all-important post of chairperson of the electoral board, he described her as someone who would never surrender even to the government. The delay of the elections, seen by political elites in the country's Tigray region as a pretext for Prime Minister Abiy to stay in power, unconstitutionally contributed to the breaking out of a civil war in which more than 500,000 people are estimated to have been killed. Elsewhere, the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, has said that more than 10,000 people have registered as refugees in South Sudan after fleeing the conflict in Sudan. According to reports, while overall 130,000 people have fled into South Sudan since the fighting started in April, most of them were South Sudanese returning home. OCHA said the latest influx continues to compound a dire situation as the arrival numbers are projected to continue to increase as fighting continues. OCHA added that among those arriving include unaccompanied or separated children, the elderly, persons with disability, those with urgent medical needs, single or female-headed households, such as extortion and looting, including during their journey to South Sudan. On the foreign scene, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has said that Russia's crisis involving the Wagner Group's aborted revolt against the Kremlin has exposed real cracks in President Vladimir Putin's authority. Meanwhile, China says it supports Russia in protecting national stability in Beijing's first official remarks on the short-lived armed uprising. Wagner fighters are reportedly leaving Russia's southern Voronezh region, the local governor has said, after the mercenary group stopped a dramatic rebellion against Moscow. The group's departure follows a deal brokered by Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko, under which Prigozhin and his mercenary soldiers will avoid persecution, and Prigozhin will go into exile in Belarus. Still on the foreign scene, Australia's top court has rejected Russia's bid to hold on to a plot of land in its capital where Moscow had planned to build a new embassy. The government in mid-June cancelled Russia's lease on national security grounds, prompting a court challenge. According to reports, Moscow had purchased the lease for the new site in 2008 and was granted approval to build its new embassy there in 2011. However, on June 15 this year, Australia's parliament rushed through new laws aimed at specifically terminating the lease. Meanwhile, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has described Australia's move to tear up the lease as another example of Russophobic hysteria that is now going on in the countries of the collective West. Meanwhile, the Hezbollah movement said it shot down today an Israeli drone that had flown into Lebanon's southern airspace near the border. It published images of the purported drone, which it said was equipped with two high-quality cameras and appeared largely intact. Hezbollah added that the unmanned craft had traveled around 7 kilometers into Lebanese territory. Meanwhile, Israeli warplanes and drones regularly violate Lebanon's airspace, while the powerful Shiite Muslim movement for years has been sending drones towards Israel. Both sides claim to have shot down the other's unmanned aircraft in the past. In the meantime, French President Emmanuel Macron today said he would double state funding for upgrading transport in the country's troubled second city, Marseille, where 23 have been killed in drug gang turf wars so far this year. The trip comes as Macron pushes to move the political conversation on from his bitterly opposed pension reform, raising the retirement age to 64, which brought millions out in multiple nationwide protests. Reports say France's second largest city after Paris, but also one of its poorest, Marseille suffers from lacking infrastructure, and that tens of thousands of units of poorly maintained social housing, mostly concentrated in the city's northern neighborhoods where the drug trade is endemic. Meanwhile, Macron in September 2021 promised €5 billion to hire new police, renovate schools and public spaces, and upgrade the creaking public transport network, which is far less dense than in Paris. Still on the foreign scene, Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis has been sworn in for a second term today, and in a televised event told the country's president. According to him, he wants to quickly implement additional reforms in his government. His cabinet appointments are expected to be released later. With 99.6% of the votes counted, Mitsotakis' New Democracy Party won 40.6%. This was according to election figures provided by the Interior Ministry. Reports say with 158 parliamentary seats, the Prime Minister has an absolute majority in the 300-seat parliament, making his party one of the strongest people's parties in the European Union. Meanwhile, Prince William has launched a 5-year project today seeking to end homelessness in Britain, saying he was following in the footsteps of his late mother, Princess Diana. William 41, the eldest son of King Charles and the heir to the throne, said the Homeward scheme would work in 6 towns and cities and develop new solutions that could be used across the country. The scheme would be backed by £3 million from the Royal Foundation. His and his wife Kate's charitable organization will provide funding, expertise and partnerships. In his launch speech at the Messiah Clubhouse in South London, he said an organization which helps people with mental health conditions over the next 5 years will have a unique opportunity to develop innovative new solutions and scale tangible impact.
Today is the day we launch Homewards, a transformative 5-year program that will demonstrate that it is possible to end homelessness. I've met so many extraordinary people and listened to so many heartbreaking personal stories. Too many people have found themselves without a stable and permanent place to call home. Through these visits, I have seen firsthand the breadth and complexities of homelessness. So, I'm pleased to stand here today at the start of our path to ending homelessness. Over the next 5 years, we have a unique opportunity to develop innovative new solutions and scale their tangible impact. This will inspire belief throughout the UK and beyond that homelessness can be ended for good. And I'm delighted to be at the beginning of that journey, launching Homewards here in Lambeth. Lambeth is now part of a network of 6 flagship Homewards locations across the UK. At the heart of the response, forming locally led coalitions of committed people, organisations and businesses. Through Homewards, we will demonstrate that together we can finally end homelessness. Thank you.
Elsewhere, 12 members of a marriage party were reportedly killed and 7 others injured as 2 buses collided head-on in Odisha's Ganjam district, India, on Sunday night. The police said Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik expressed grief over the death of people in the accident and sympathized with their families. According to Indian local media today, the police said they also wished for the speedy recovery of those injured in the accident. Patnaik also announced ex gratia of RS3-like to the next of kin of each deceased and free treatment of injured persons. He also asked State Finance Minister BK Arukach to rush to the accident site. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. Here is Blessing Dixon.
Thank you, Uyaya Nakan. Good evening. It's another business time. My name is Blessing Dixon. In the news, we begin with Pakistan's economic index. The Central Bank of Pakistan raised its key policy interest rates by 100 basis points to 22% in an emergency meeting today to anchor inflation expectations. Recent months have already shown signs of moderation in inflation, and the committee is determined to further bring down inflation towards the medium-term target range of 5 to 7% by the end of the fiscal year 2025. The decision comes in the wake of the country's recent approval of a revised annual budget, which aims to secure a crucial bailout from the IMF as the existing program is nearing its expiration on June 30th. The central bank acknowledges the potential contribution of additional tax measures to inflation, both directly and indirectly. In Zimbabwe's annual consumer price inflation skyrocketed to 175.8% in June 2023, up from 86.5% in the prior month, marking a continued deviation from the downward trend observed since the beginning of the year. It was the highest reading since January 2021, stoked by a sharp depreciation in the Zimbabwean dollar, which crashed 50% since the start of June in the official market. On a monthly basis, consumer prices jumped by a record 74.5% in June after a 15.7% raise in the previous month. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe on June 6th raised its key lending rate by 10 percentage points to 150% in a bid to tame inflation and protect the country's weakening currency. It also announced that the central bank will begin selling foreign currency at market-determined exchange rates through banks, but stopped short of allowing the Zimbabwean dollar to float freely. In Nigeria, the federal government has increased the deployment of mini-grids to boost power supply in rural communities. According to the Rural Electrification Agency, REA, the managing director, Ahmed Salijo, who inspected the 200 kilowatt peak solar hybrid mini-grid in Danchitaji community in Niger State. He said the facility, just like others, would cut down the volume of petrol purchased by beneficiaries of the community. He further explained that through the Nigeria Electrification Project Performance-Based Grant Initiative, over 80 similar mini-grids has been deployed across the country, ensuring equitable access to electricity. It's time for the Nigerian stock market report. Today is the first trading day of the week, and the benchmark all-share index inched up 132.13 basis points to close at 59,338.76 points. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 32.3 trillion naira. In the aggregate, 122 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 46 gainers and 23 losers. Transcorp Hotels led the gainers with 10% share price appreciation, closing at 19 naira 36 kobo per share. On the losing side, Unity Bank came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 10% at 99 kobo per share. Axis Holdings recorded the highest volume of 74.6 million traded shares. This is all on business news, and back to Uyai and Yeken for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Blessing Dixon. Still to come in the news. Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina withdraws from the tournament. Stay tuned for details after this time out.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by cross them. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my
this
lord.
an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll being in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Every society
Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news. In health, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control (NAFDAC) has called on the Association of Master Bakers and Caterers of Nigeria to embrace good hygiene practices in bread production. In a statement during a stakeholders meeting with the Lagos chapter of the association, which was made available to newsmen, the Director General of NAFDAC, Mojisola Adeyeye, represented by the Director, Food Safety and Applied Nutrition, Eva Edwards, urged the confectioners not to compromise the quality of bread being produced for Nigerians' consumption. It should not be an excuse to undermine the safety and quality of products, thereby endangering the lives of consumers. The DG warned that if the baker's operations endangers the health of the public, the agency will not hesitate to take decisive action. Still in health, a former governor of Ondo State, Olusegun Mimiko, and the President's Nigerian Union of Allied Health Professionals, Dr. Obinna Ogbonna, have called on the federal government to take urgent steps to halt the issue of brain drain in the health sector. The statement, which was made at a two-day national conference held in Abuja, was attended by pharmacists, nurses, radiographers, dietitians, and medical laboratory scientists. Mimiko noted that the reason many Nigerian doctors and other health professionals are leaving to other countries was that the country had not given its health sector the needed attention. The former governor also urged President Bola Tinubu to look into the health sector in order to curb the brain drain syndrome. Over now to Isaac for latest sports stories.
Well, thank you very much, Uyai. In sports, Wimbledon champion Elina Rybakina has withdrawn from the Eastbourne International, sparking concerns over her fitness for this year's Wimbledon. Moscow-born Rybakina, who represents Kazakhstan, won her first Grand Slam title last year, with this year's tournament beginning on the 3rd of July. The 24-year-old also reached the final of the Australian Open in January. Rybakina said she's still recovering from a virus that caused her to withdraw. Ranked third in the world, Rybakina had been the top seed for the tournament at Eastbourne and has been replaced by Croatian lucky loser Petra Matic, who would face British number 1 Katibota in the opening round. Well, in basketball, number 1 draft pick Victor Wembanyama has decided not to play for France in this summer's FIBA World Cup and instead will focus on preparing for his rookie season with the San Antonio Spurs and next year's Paris Olympics. This is a reversal from Wembanyama's previously stated plans for the summer and a blow to the French and current Olympic silver medalists who are planning to be a serious contender for the world title this August and September in Manila, Philippines. Wembanyama is still planning to play in at least some of the Spurs Summer League games in July. He played a total of 62 games this season for Boulogne-Levo Metropolitan 92, and reaching the French League finals. Including his first season with the Spurs and plans for the Olympics, he calculated he was looking at playing about 170 games in a 24-month span that made the World Cup seem like too much for him. Well, in football, the president of the Confederation of African Football CAF, Patrice Motsepe, revealed the reasons why they have to change the name of the Super League. The football body last week proposed a change in name of the Super League and also announced a postponement from August to October. While speaking on it, the African Football Supremo insisted that he would continue to call it Super League until the name is changed. Well, finally, in transfers, German club Borussia Mönchengladbach have joined VfB Stuttgart in the race to sign Nigeria's Paul Onwachu from Southampton. According to reports, Borussia Dortmund have strong interest in the Nigerian international. Onwachu linked up with Southampton for 18 million euros from Belgian club KRC Genk in January. He's 29, however, he's desperate to leave the Saints following the relegation from the Premier League. The striker failed to register a goal in 11 league appearances for Southampton. Southampton will look to get at least the fee they paid to Genk for the player. But that's it on sports. My name is Isaac. Now on to Simon for entertainment news.
Thank you, Isaac. In the world of entertainment, famous Nigerian singer Damini Ogulu, popularly known as Burna Boy, has snagged the Best International Act Award at the 2023 BET Awards, held on Sunday night in Los Angeles, United States of America. The Last Krona defeated French singer Aya Nakamura, British superstars Ella Mai, Stormzy and Central C, and his compatriot Era Star to clinch the award. With his victory, Burna Boy extended his record as the most awarded person in the BET Awards Best International Act Category 4.
The winner is, you heard me? It's Burna Boy. Yeah.
Recall that Burna Boy won the award for 3 consecutive years, that's 2019, 2020, and 2021. Since the creation of the BET Awards Best International Act in 2018, the category has been exclusively won by Nigerians, with Davido being the main winner. Rising Nigerian music star Tems also won the Best International Act last year. Meanwhile, Nigerian singer Asake lost the Best New International Award to Cameroonian singer Libyanka last night. In the same spirit of the BET Awards, Nigerian singer Temilade Openeyi, popularly known as Tems, shone at the 23rd BET Awards held on Sunday night in Los Angeles. After losing 2 of her 3 nominations, Tems snagged the Best Collaboration gong for her contribution on Future's Wait For You, which also features Canadian rapper Drake. Now, remember that Wait For You won the Best Melodic Rap Performance at the 2023 Grammys. Earlier at the 2023 BET Awards, Tems lost the Best Female R&B and Pop Artist category to SZA and Viewers' Choice Awards to Beyonce. Similarly, Burna Boy lost the Best Male R&B and Pop Artist to Chris Brown and Usher, and the Best Video Director to Teyana. Away from that now, Nigerian Afrobeat superstar David Adeleke, popularly known as Davido, thrilled the audience with an electrifying performance at the 23rd BET Awards. The OBO crooner performed a medley of his hit songs, Feel, and Unavailable from his latest album, Timeless. His scintillating performance had the audience bouncing and streaming. Now, his performance made him the second Nigerian artist to perform at the culture's biggest night after Fireboy DML, who performed last year riding on the wave of Peru. In an interview with Billboard, Davido discussed the explosive surge of Afrobeat in the USA. He said he felt good performing at the BET Awards, and he went on to say that it's the first time he's performing at the BET. He revealed that her childhood dream was to be a lawyer or a newscaster. Now, she said her role model was the late broadcaster Tokunbo Ajayi. Now, the thespian said her family initially didn't support her decision to become an actress. She said a movie director, Ikena Igwe, was the one who came to her house to convince her parents to let her do the film. She went on to say that the decision to have a child through surrogacy is because she's had series of miscarriages and she was tired and didn't want to try again. Now let's take a dive into the international scene. Celine Dion's Titanic theme song, My Heart Will Go On, spikes in streams. It's been reported that amidst the recent Titanic submersible tragedy, the theme song from the movie My Heart Will Go On is seeing a spike in streams. Hundreds of thousands worldwide have had their hearts string-tugged following the radar disappearance and later implosion of the Titanic-bound submersible. Just like when tragedy struck In 1997, Oscars-winning movie, the same sentiments were felt when news confirmed about the 5 people aboard the Ocean Gate sub passing away. Now, Celine Dion's theme song in the movie, My Heart Will Go On, is now helping folks in their grieving process. It is said that in the wake of the submersible tragedy, Celine Dion's song has seen over 500,000 streams since the 5 souls passed on. As for a breakdown, it's reported that on Spotify, listeners have played Dion's song 522,864 times since Thursday, June 22nd, and that on Friday the streams continues to soar. And that's it on entertainment now. My name is Simon Oko. Back to you, Uyai.
And that's all we have for you tonight. This has been the news at 9. I am Uyai Anyeka. We do hope you follow us across all social media platforms, all of which you can find at spectrumtv.ng. Good night and do have a splendid night rest.